Well, it's a special edition of PFTPM, one I did not expect to be doing today. It's Friday. It's the end of the first week of free agency. Things had slowed down. I was out running errands. I was at the grocery store. I saw the text message from Miles Simmons that Aaron Donald had retired after 10 NFL seasons. He was drafted back in 2014 by the Rams. Teams passed on him who should not have passed on him. The Lions had a need at defensive tackle at the time. The Vikings took Anthony Barr instead of him. Aaron Donald will leave the game as a surefire first ballot, walk in the door Hall of Famer, a member of the upper room that Deion Sanders would like there to be in Canton. That is Aaron Donald. And at a time when he is retiring, I just can't help but wonder how permanent it really is. Because just a few hours before he announced his retirement, his contract had been restructured. He had a massive guarantee that was coming due fifth day of the league year. They needed to do something today. He had structured his deal when he got a new contract after Super Bowl 56, the game where he should have been the MVP. It was created so that he could play 2 years and then walk away with no financial penalty paid back to the Rams. Now, he's giving up his potential earnings going forward, but whatever happened with the restructuring today, and it might have just been on paper. I need to track it all down and figure it all out, and I'll try. I'm not saying I will. I'm saying I'll try. But it creates enough of a doubt that maybe this is just kind of a placeholder contract. Maybe he'll change his mind as we get closer to the start of the regular season. Maybe he didn't want to have the burden of showing up for the offseason program or mandatory minicamp or training camp. Just keep himself in shape and come back into the fold at some point mid to late August, or maybe get traded somewhere else. There was a time where I was convinced he was going to be traded back in the vicinity of Pittsburgh, not necessarily to Pittsburgh, but to one of the towns with an NFL team not far from his hometown of Pittsburgh, where he had been spending most of his off seasons. So yes, he's retired, but we've seen players retire and then come back. And remember, back in 2022, he had actually drafted a retirement letter that was part of the effort to get the Rams to tear up the 3 years left on his contract and replace it with that new deal, 3 years, $95 million, that has been the gold standard for defensive tackles. Chris Jones just got past it a little bit. There are plenty of other defensive tackles trying to get within shouting distance of it. That was the deal he got 2 years ago under the express threat of retirement, with the retirement letter drafted and addressed to Roger Goodell. Not that it means anything, not that you even have to do that, but it was the commitment by Donald to prove to the Rams that if he didn't get the contract that he believed he deserved, he was going to retire. You can't rule out the possibility that this is just a more overt example of the same thing. He's seeing all these other defensive tackles getting paid. He sees the salary cap go up 13.6% to $255.4 million. And he says, this is what I have left. I am more valuable than that. And I think it was a fully guaranteed salary of $30 million for this year. So I wouldn't blame him if he said, I'm not playing for $30 million. No. You want me to play? You got to make it worth my while. And Rams, if you're not willing to do it, let's see if somebody else is. See, this may be, and we've seen many times in recent years, the team that's looking to trade a player lets it be known to the world that that team is going to cut the player, and then the phones start ringing. I'll trade for that player instead of you cutting him. I'd like to trade for that contract instead of you cutting him, and then we have to compete with others in free agency. This is a different twist on that same routine, if there's anything to it. And I'm just acting on the basic pasta and meatballs. Look, it's not football season. The pasta and meatballs usually activate during football season. They got to be directed somewhere. I'm just not ready to rule out the possibility that this is a short-term retirement. And if the Rams make him an offer he can't refuse, or if somebody else calls the Rams and says, hey, would you be willing to trade him? Would he be willing to play for us? That could be worth a phone call. Phone calls free. Used to be, kids, that long distance phone calls cost a lot of money. Nowadays, you just pick up the phone, you dial the number, and you are connected. Why not give Les Snead a call? Why not have a hypothetical conversation with Aaron Donald's representation as to what it might get or take to get him to play another year? I'm just saying there's some smoke there. Not a lot, not a big cloud, just a little, like a wisp. Is that the word, wisp? Like a little wisp of smoke coming from this, based upon the way it's happening now, the restructuring of the contract, and the fact that he was retiring. He just didn't announce it, but he was retiring. He told the Rams, I'm retiring in late May, early June, thereabouts of 2022. And that was the thing that jostled the Rams to offer him $95 million over 3 years, tearing up the existing contract, replacing it with a new one. So if he is done, no brainer, Hall of Famer in 5 years. No need for any debate or discussion. And frankly, I mean, it's too late to put the toothpaste back in the tube, but I frankly think the Hall of Fame should only consist of the guys about whom there's no need for any debate. That we know that Tom Brady is getting in. We know that Aaron Donald is getting in. We know that Patrick Mahomes is getting in. Those are the only ones that should be in there. It's too late, though, because they've got too many others in there that weren't brought in under that standard. Aaron Donald, clearly one of the best of all times. Aaron Donald, possibly, maybe not done yet. For now, though, congratulations to Aaron Donald on a spectacular career. Shame on those who passed over him when they had the chance, including the Rams, who had the second overall pick that year and took a tackle, Greg Robinson from Auburn, instead of Donald. They rectified it the second time around. They got 10 years with one of the best defensive players who ever played the game. They got a Super Bowl win thanks in large part to his efforts. As I said, he should have been the Super Bowl 56 MVP. He will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he might be returning at some point. He's only 32 years old. He's only got 10 years in the NFL, and he's still got a great skill set that would come in handy to a team that is willing to pay him what he believes he's worth. Whether that happens or not, we'll see. For now, Aaron Donald is retired. PFTPM goes back into mothballs until it's needed again. I hope it doesn't happen again this afternoon, but you never know. With the NFL, there's always a chance that something will happen. We'll have it all covered at profootballtalk.com, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.